All right, here we are. I am away, and this should be Tuesday, November 6th. What you are going to need is your foldable that we put together last Thursday. So we're going to work on some integers today. I want you to get your foldable out, and on your foldable, the green flappy piece that we glued inside, put these titles on the green flaps. You may want to pause the video now so that you can stop and do that before you continue on with the inside stuff. Okay, once you have the labels, I want you to flip open the flap titled integers, so the skinny little flap on the left-hand side, and we're going to write a few things about integers. Just start at the top and fill in your space. So integers are positive. Why is my pen not working? There we go. Integers are positive and negative numbers. Make sure that when you're writing it fits in the little skinny space underneath the flap, on that skinny flap. Don't be using space in the other two flaps. So positive and negative numbers. When I get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the value of positive and negative numbers, but for today we're going to keep it simple. You find integers in many, many places. They are used in temperature. So we've been pretty lucky this fall, somewhat. We've been above zero. We've had a positive temperature, but very soon we're going to be consistently below zero and have a negative temperature, positive and negative numbers. Other places that positive and negative numbers are used are baking or money. If you have lots of money, you have a positive amount in an account. If you have spent more money than you have, then your account could be in the negative, which means you owe somebody money. Another use for integers are golf scores. When you score in golf, there's a certain number of strokes that you should hit to put the ball in the hole. If you do that in less than what they recommend, you're above par, which is a positive number. Or if you do too many strokes, then you're below par, which is a negative number. Another place is elevation. You can be above and below sea level. Above sea level is a positive number, so many meters above sea level, and below sea level is a negative number. You're negative meters or you're below sea level. So those are just a few places that we use positive and negative numbers. We think of positive as being above zero and negative as being below zero, because negatives get smaller and smaller and smaller, and positives get bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we think of our integers, if we have 0 and we have more and more and more positives going this way, we are getting bigger, and going this way, we are getting smaller. So make sure that you have all this information in the skinny flap on your integer foldable. If you haven't, you should pause it now and make sure you've got it all written down. Next, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing integers. So on the far side, the last flap should be titled Multiplying and Dividing Integers. You should be flipping that flap up and starting at the top and writing. You might want to pause for a few minutes now and copy down the steps, and then we're going to do some examples together. Okay, so I'm going to assume now that you have the steps written down. So when you're multiplying and dividing integers, it is simple, simple, simple. You multiply and divide the numbers just like you would any old number. And then every two negative signs makes a positive. So any even number of negative signs will always produce a positive answer. So we're going to do a few questions together. A, B, C, and D all have something in common. They're all the same numbers. The signs are just different. So take a minute and notice that. In A, we have 3 times 4. Remember brackets mean multiplying. So 3 times 4, we're used to doing that. 3 groups of 4 is 12. 4 and 4 is 8, and another 4 is 12. Then B and C each get into negative numbers. Or sorry, B, C, and D each get into negative numbers. When you have 2 negative signs, your answer will always be positive. So negative 3 times negative 4 is also positive 12. And you'll notice when we have a positive number, we don't write the plus sign. If there's no sign, we know that it's positive. In D and C, only one number in the question that we're multiplying is negative. I have negative 3 times positive 4. If there's only one negative, my answer will be negative. The number doesn't change, or the value doesn't change. 3 times 4 is still 12, but because only one number is negative, the answer must be negative. And that's how multiplying works. When you have one negative number you're multiplying, your answer will always be negative. If you have 2 negative numbers that you're multiplying, the answer will always be positive. And of course, if both numbers are positive, it's the same as what you've been used to doing since forever with multiplying. And dividing's the same. You divide just like you normally would divide. 2 negatives will make a positive. So first question E, 12 divided by 3. First, we need to get used to those being the same thing. A division sign can be written with a line and 2 dots, or to look like a fraction. Those are both division, and that's something you're going to have to get used to at high school. 12 divided by 3 equals 12 divided by 3. These are both the same thing. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then if I look at a sign, when one number is negative, my answer will always be negative. The dividing part is the same. 12 divided by 3 is still 4, but because there's one number negative, it has to be negative 4. And 12 divided by 3 is still 4, but because the 12 is negative, the answer has to be negative 4. And when you have 2 negatives, negative 12 divided by negative 3 is still 4, and 2 negatives make it positive. So every time when you multiply and divide, you have 2 negatives, your answer will be positive. Easy peasy. And then we get into some more complicated stuff that we'll look at when I get back. So a question like this is telling you you need to multiply the top, and you need to multiply the bottom, and then you divide. So if I multiply the top, the first thing I notice is there's one negative sign. So that means the number or the answer will be negative. And then I'm just going to multiply my numbers. 3 times 12, 3 groups of 12, 12 and 12 and 12 is 36. And if I multiply the bottom, I have 2 negative signs. 2 negative signs mean my answer will be positive. And 6 times 2, 6 groups of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 6 times 2 is 12. So we multiplied the top part, multiplied the bottom part. Now we're going to divide. Negative 36 divided by 12. A negative divided by a positive, only one negative sign, means my answer is negative. 36 divided by 12, how many 12s go into 36? Means the answer would be 3. So one negative gives me a negative answer, negative 3. All right, now is the time where you're going to make sure you have all that written down. If you don't have something or I went too quickly, you'll rewind, watch it, pause it, get what you need in your foldable, and then ask the teacher for the handout and do the handout.